Hi, Greg Studley here for another episode of A Guitarist's Guide to Improvising with Knowledge. This is episode 9. I am author of the book, A Guitarist's Guide to Improvising with Knowledge, and developer of the website improvisingwithknowledge.com. Today's episode, we're going to be working with the arpeggios that were in episode 8, but now applying them into our improvisation. Everything we're going to play today, all the music you see scrolling across the screen, is available for download as a PDF on the website. It's totally free. Just go to improvisingwithknowledge.com and go to the Downloads tab. We're going to split this episode into two parts. First, we're going to do a review of the arpeggios that we had learned last time, both major and minor, and then we'll work on how these arpeggios can be incorporated into your improvisation. Be sure at this point you have a solid understanding of E string notes, A string notes, 2 major pentatonic scales, 2 minor pentatonic scales, 2 major arpeggios, and 2 minor arpeggios. It's a lot of stuff that we've covered so far. If you're unfamiliar with any of these, definitely go back to the previous episodes and check them out. We'll start off by reviewing the major arpeggios. Just a reminder that arpeggios are the notes of a chord played in succession separately rather than being played simultaneously. Our major arpeggios are composed of roots, thirds, and fifths. These arpeggios are great to use with major chords because these are actually the notes of the chord. So this way you can use them in your solos and link very, very well with what is going on in the chord structure beneath you. Here are the diagrams of the 2 major arpeggios that we worked on last time. This is the major arpeggio E4 and the major arpeggio A4. They're based off of the pentatonic scales that are also E4 and A4. We're going to review these in the key of E major. So, similar to how we did the exercises last episode, if you watched it, we're going to first play through the pentatonic scale and arpeggio of E major in a lower shape, and then we'll be taking it and playing through the pentatonic scale and arpeggio in a higher shape. However, we'll change it up a little bit from last time in that we're going to now play from higher roots for all of these. So, we'll be starting an E major pentatonic scale from the lower available hand shape, which is in 4th position, and starting from a high root. That's going to be located with your 2nd finger on the 2nd string. After playing the pentatonic scale and arpeggio, we'll shift up to 9th position and do the same thing, starting from a high root. That would be your 4th finger on the 1st string, the note E. Now that we've reviewed the major arpeggios, we're going to take a quick review of the minor arpeggios. We'll be doing these in F sharp minor. We'll be playing first the minor pentatonic scale and arpeggio based in 2nd position. This is our lower available hand position. We will also be starting these from high root. So we'll be starting both the pentatonic scale and the arpeggio from our 1st finger on the E string, the high root F sharp. From there, we're going to move to our higher available hand position. We're going to move up to 9th position, and we're going to play our F sharp minor pentatonic scale, followed by the F sharp minor arpeggio. And we're going to start from our high root, which is going to be the F sharp that is played with our 3rd finger on the 3rd string. So we're going to start off here in 2nd position. now going to take these major and minor arpeggios that we've just reviewed and incorporate them into improvisation. We've been using a 3-step method previously that included step 1, playing the roots, step 2, playing the scales, and step 3, improvising over the chord progression. We're going to alter this a bit though. Step 1, now that we have arpeggios, is not going to be playing the roots, but it's going to be to play the arpeggios. That way we can let ourselves know all of the available chord tones that are going with the chords that we're playing over. On your own, you may want to go ahead and review how those are going to fit over our chord progression. Chord progression we're going to work over is D, B minor, G, and A, with each chord having a duration of 2 measures. So if you need to, you may want to review all those arpeggio shapes. If you feel pretty comfortable like you know where they are, the way we're going to run through this is 2 times through the chord progression. First time through the chord progression, we're going to play all of the arpeggios that fit our lower hand position shapes, since we have both a lower and a higher shape for every chord. We're going to play our lower arpeggios first time through, and our higher arpeggios are going to be played second time through the chord progression. We're also going to constantly alternate whether we're starting from low roots or high roots. That way we can play from both ends. We'll be starting D major arpeggio in second position from a low root, and then we'll move to our B minor arpeggio, which happens to be in the same hand position, from a high root. And we'll just continue to alternate all the way through the chord progression. Now that we've run through the arpeggios, we're going to work on the scales. Now if the arpeggios seem like they are moving by a little quick, remember you can download this exercise off of the website. Just go to the downloads page, grab it as a PDF file, and you can work on it whatever speed you need until you can get it up to the speed of what we just played. As for playing the scales, we're going to take a very similar method. We're going to play 1 time through the chord progression using all of the lower available shapes, which ends up being the same hand positions as the arpeggios we just did. We'll then go 1 time through the chord progression using the higher shapes. Again, same exact hand positions as what we just did for the arpeggios. Similarly, we're also going to constantly alternate whether we're starting from a low root or a high root. So just like we did before, we'll be starting from D major from its low root. We're going to change one aspect of how we play our scales though. And that is the last note of the scale that we play. We're going to ensure that it is a chord tone, meaning it is a note of the arpeggio. This is a little odd at first, and it does involve a good bit of extra thought because you have to think about the arpeggio when coming to the end of playing your scale. The purpose of ending on a chord tone, though, is it sounds like the idea that you're playing is now resolved with the chord. If you end your ideas off of a chord tone, it gives it kind of an open-ended sound. However, if you can end on a chord tone, it makes it sound like you've concluded whatever it is you're playing and gives it more of a sound ending. So, it may take a little bit of extra practice. You can download it if you need to. Here is playing the scales through the chord progression and ending each scale on a chord tone. Now that we've worked on our arpeggios, which was step 1, we've taken step 2, which is to play our pentatonic scales. Now we're going to improvise over the chord progression. Some of the most important things you can do when improvising, just as a reminder, are to always keep track of the chord changes and try to think ahead. That way a chord switch will never catch you by surprise, and you can also plan ahead about where your hand position may change to. You can also start with lower shapes and kind of longer notes and end with higher shapes and faster notes. That will help the solo have a sound of building rather than staying kind of stagnant. Always ending with some of the highest notes is a great way to peak your solo at the end. Now, this solo I'm also going to add a little bit of something different into the notation. Because we've been relying so heavily on arpeggios, what we're going to try to do is actually, I'm going to write this little ARP in parentheses by the music. This will be in the music that scrolls across the screen, as well as the available download on the website. That is just to show you all of the different instances where arpeggios are being used in the solo. Just so you know, they are used throughout, and it can really let you know how often you can throw them in, and you can analyze what kind of sound it makes as we're playing them. I hope that solo has helped open your eyes about how you can start incorporating arpeggios into your solo. Remember, use arpeggios to prepare yourself for the solo also as your first step, followed by the pentatonic scales. Please visit the website, improvisingwithknowledge.com. There on the downloads page you can grab everything that we played today, including the solo at the end. You can play along with the jam tracks to see how well your improvisation is going with other chord progressions. And remember, use the same 3 steps that we did today on these new chord changes, and you'll find that you can prepare yourself very well for improvising. You can also sign up for the newsletter on the website. You'll be one of the first people to know when other episodes are available, and you'll be one of the first to be able to buy the book when it becomes available in late 2013. Our next episode is going to cover something that is very unique to guitars, and that is bends and slides.